Nothing wrong with some people turning up and saying they disagree with you.
Hey, it's called democracy, but you know as well as I do, we were voted in to reinvigorate the extractive sector, the fisheries sector, and other sources of potential export-led wealth. I've led with my chin. I accept that every day I seem to attract new bouts of negative attention, but I see it as political theatre.
Also, though, I note the FastTrack legislation, right? That has become very, very much, and you, as part of that, become very much a focus of political opposition. I see Professor Alexander Gillespie, Professor of Law at the University of Waikato, has just had a piece saying it's a threat to democracy, a piece he published in The Conversation, but of course RNZ slavishly republishes. And also, Minister, there have been suggestions that you have been having unminuted or unrecorded meetings with people who may benefit from that fast-track policy.
Yeah, no, I definitely needed to tidy up my bookkeeping, but no one should doubt who's listening to your show. I'm paid to meet on a regular basis investors, stakeholders, communities who actually want to turn around the fortunes either of their households, their regions, or the nation. And fair cop, there was a wee bit of a cock-up in my office, but...
hang on, let's just clarify. I want to clarify it. So you have had lunches, private lunches, with people and told them put in a fast-track application?
I've done more than that.
Okay.
I've said publicly on your show and various other media outlets, if you are a New Zealand business and you feel you could fit the criteria, deal directly with Minister Chris Bishop and write a letter. That's what I want New Zealanders to do.
So it's kind of an open for business message you're sending.
Yeah, well, perhaps a bit like you now and again, or your listeners, you do bump into people either coming back from Australia or international potential investors, and they're puzzled as to whether or not can you ever get anything done in New Zealand, and are we open for business? Now, that's a banal thing to say. Of course, we're open for business, but mate, there's 270 odd billion. That's the scale of our debt as the Crown. I don't know, 500 plus billion is the scale of our overarching debt when you look at private as well. We are in challenging circumstances. Unless we're going to use our natural resources to create jobs, boost exports, make ourselves more resilient, why is it more a superior approach to rely on the rest of the world when we've got minerals needed for the decarbonisation journey under our feet, but we've got all these munchkins who fear that Papa Tuanuku is going to be disfigured if we start picking up less than 1%
Jeffrey
of the
Palmer's telling us this is a threat to democracy. It's dangerous. It's Muldoon and think bigism. It's the end of the world.
Well, let's just, I don't want to say anything negative against me, old boss, Jeffrey Palmer, but we're living in a different time now. We're living at a time where geopolitical uncertainty is raging, and New Zealand's got a fundamental decision to make. Do you or do you not want us to be more resilient and rely on our own resources, or do you want us to continue to rely on resources, goods and services coming from parts of the world where it's getting more destabilised every day? I plump for us becoming more resilient and using our own resources. I support the notion that ministers should be in a position of considerable influence in the law. That's why I supported the fast-track legislation. I already hold that responsibility as a fisheries minister. I held that responsibility as the steward of the $3 billion provincial growth fund in the past. So this catastrophization, this demonisation that politicians ought to be stripped of any decision-making power, handed over to judges who are never accountable, and a whole bunch of other Pharisees and Brahmins who sit on these environmental committees that allocate consents, who never stand for office, never held accountable, and we don't even know their names yet. They're frustrating the development of the country. Well, if you want that, you go and campaign for it. I campaigned against it.
All right. And you're just going to improve your diary keeping and your notification, but you're not apologising for having lunch with people.
No, not at all. In fact, I've been very proactive with this diary thing. I mean, originally just somebody mad on telling everyone what we were all doing, etc. I mean, I don't want to talk about her. My day's likely to be blighted as it is with mentioning her name.